All right, looks like we're going. Okay, yeah, first thing on my end, quick delegate rush update. Just a reminder to go look at that delegate rush forum post and to go ahead and delegate to our new applicants. The program is scheduled to end November 9th, so that's this Saturday. So far, we've had one applicant reach the 200,000 well requirement. It would be really great to get all 5 of them onboarded as mid-tier delegates, just so they can start fulfilling those delegate duties, namely making snapshot proposals. So yeah, that's the main update on my end. I will go ahead and quickly do the Moonwell minute. Essentially, this is just a quick portion of the Gov call meant to give some updates related to governance. The first thing we want to look at is the Nakamoto coefficient. It's holding steady at 6 delegates, which basically there was a slight drop off right outside the bounds of this chart. It was at 7 in September. Now it's down to 6. Basically, this is the number of delegates required to reach 50% of the total voting power. Higher is typically better when it comes to making governance decisions. That's the first metric. The second is the votable supply. So at the start of the month, it was around 370 million. Towards the end of October, it's now at around 350 million. And the last one was the proposal participation. This one's pretty big. So I'll give you the timeline of events here. So first, this snapshot proposal in October ended up having the highest snapshot voter turnout we've had all year at 98 votes. The second one was MIP X05. This one got 247 votes, which was, at the time, it was larger than the amount we had during the Summer Galaxy campaigns, which pretty impressive, really. It was actually the most that we had since April of 2023 with this vote. This proposal here, they got 268 votes. So yeah, that was around mid-October, and then after that, we had MIP M41, which actually ended up matching that earlier peak exactly with 268 votes, and then that was the last thing that I covered in the monthly report. And since that, we've had MIP B35, which got 279, and then this most recent proposal has had 388, which is actually the most we've had, in the entire history of this chart. The highest was 366. So yeah, that's very encouraging in terms of voter turnout. And we'll get into more, I guess, the why this all happened later in the call, but I think it's largely due to this forum proposal here from Luke on increasing governance participation, which this was also probably the most important forum discussion we've had all month with 1.3K views, 75 likes, 40 comments. So it's been a lot of turnout on this. So yeah, we'll get more into the specifics of this later. Just wanted to point all those things out for the Moonwell minute, or the Moonwell 5 minutes. I think I went a little bit over. But yeah, so onto the main agenda for the call. Yeah, I think we wanted to start with Majin today. If you want to give your updates, you're free to do that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everyone for joining today or listening on YouTube if you're listening after the fact. I kind of want to start by piggybacking on what Alex was just talking about, which is this forum post that Luke posted, and the safety module update proposal, or actually 2 proposals that have recently passed. So like Alex mentioned, 40 replies, tons and tons of good ideas have been shared. I just want to emphasize a couple things. One is that X05, this proposal that updated the safety module, almost 400 voters is crazy. So we've seen immediate impact in increased voting participation. As mentioned in that proposal text and on the forum, Compound DAO, and Compound is a very similar protocol to Moonwell. Their governance was attacked by this group called the Golden Boys, and they passed this very controversial proposal during a period of low voting participation. I think last time I checked, Compound governance proposals get like 20, 30, maybe 40 voters, and we have proposals going very often, and it would be, if we didn't have high voting participation and an engaged community of stakeholders, then we would be at risk for a governance attack or a very controversial proposal kind of going in unnoticed. So I can't really stress enough how encouraging it is to see the immediate impact of this safety module upgrade, and just how cool it is to see, a forum post with 40 replies and so many people sharing ideas. And I do want to encourage people to keep sharing those ideas. Again, this initial proposal was like a foundational proposal that we can as a community build upon. Let me pull it up real quick. There was tons of good ideas, from adding additional reward boosts or multipliers for stakers or consistent voters. I saw that. Further cooldown period optimizations. It's been lowered from 10 to 7. It can go lower, it can go higher. We can, as a community, decide, exactly what we want that to look like. Somebody talked about actually being able to delegate your staked well voting power to third parties, because at the moment, when you, unlike held well, staked well is only self-delegated, right? So that could be a nice upgrade, or just other, additional governance participation incentives outside of, just being able to claim rewards. So I think we've laid a really great foundation or groundwork with this proposal, and I'm excited to see where the community takes it from here. Beyond that, guys, I have a couple other things. Recently there was a proposal to add USDC incentives on the CBBTC market on Moonwell and name Gauntlet the admissions admin for that market. Gauntlet was kind enough to add 80,000 USDC rewards to be distributed over the next month in that market. I think Gauntlet recognizes that they've been an absolutely fantastic contributor to Moonwell, and I think they recognize that Moonwell has now over 26% of the total CBBT supply on base, which is massive, and Moonwell's in a great position to help keep growing liquidity for CBBTC on base. So, that's very, very exciting stuff. And I just also want to thank Gauntlet one more time for the tireless work. So Moonwell's TVL is up 85% in the last 30 days, got nearly $400 million, which is stunning growth. But that does mean a lot more work for Gauntlet, as they serve as not only our primary risk manager, but supply and borrow cap guardian. And Sai may tell us in a minute, but I'm sure they have alerts set up, and I'm sure their alerts have been going crazy lately as these markets reach their supply and borrow caps, and they need to be adjusted dynamically. So thank you, Gauntlet, for your tireless work there. I did want to flag that Block Analytica, who serves as our risk curator along with B Protocol on the Moonwell vaults, has recently, I think yesterday, they posted a monthly update, and we've seen, again, just tremendous growth in the Moonwell vaults. In the last 30 days, the ETH vault is up 227%, the USDC vault is up 172%, and the EURC vault is up 275%. Now we're at, nearly $140 million in the Moonwell vaults. And they also, as part of this update, released information about their new reallocation model, which is going to help further optimize vault yields. So if you want to learn more about that, or just check in on all the recent growth in the Moonwell vaults, I encourage you to check out that forum post. And then the last thing on my side, I just want to thank Boardroom for running this Delegate Rush program, and then thank all the new delegates for the longest period of time. Cool Horse Girl, CHG, I think she's on the call now, has just really held down the fort as our main super delegate, and has just been so instrumental in the growth of Moonwell governance. And now we have Rex Mims as well as an additional super delegate who has been all over the forums and just been super diligent. And yeah, I'm stoked to see this new roster of additional very talented, very capable delegates. And I want to give a quick shout out to PGov, one of these new delegates, as they've been posting voting updates and rationale for why they voted a certain direction on every post, or I'm sorry, on every vote or proposal. So I know personally, if I was looking to delegate well, that's exactly the type of behavior or activity I'd be looking for in my delegate. I'd want to know not only that they're voting, but how they're voting and why they're voting a certain way. So keep it up, PGov, and I encourage other delegates to emulate that. And then last thing, I would just encourage all well holders or stakeholders that may be on this call or listening on YouTube to check out these new delegates and delegate your well. We are very, very lucky, again, to have this really talented stable of new delegates, and who are going to keep Moonwell governance running, keep the protocol, keep the DAO, ahead of the game. So just please check out these new delegates and delegate your well. That's all I got. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Eli. I think what we're going to do for the rest of this agenda, we're actually going to skip to the end here, and we'll go with Sai for the Gauntlet updates. If you just want to give a 5-minute overview of the monthly update, you can take it away.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alex. And thanks, Majin, for all the great words. And we are definitely super pumped to see the growth on Moonwell as well. And yeah, definitely seeing a lot of search and cap alerts. And yeah, we're working on them, setting them at appropriate levels. But yeah, I'm going to talk more about that across the risk recommendations. On the base side, I'll start off with the risk on metric where we reduced reserve factor for wheat from 15 to 5%. Or USD BC and DAI, we kind of taken an overall risk off position where we've reduced CFs, supply caps, and increased reserve factor. And I'm going to go a little more into what these mean and how they kind of impact the protocol. On the interest rate curves, generally speaking, as we're taking a risk off position on DAI and USD BC, we're seeing a lot of like supply outflows, which is definitely having an impact on utilization. As utilization increases, there's like a huge amplitude of rate volatility, and that kind of affects the users because now borrowers have to, pay like really high borrow APRs. So in order to mitigate that, we're kind of reducing the kink by around 500 basis points, like 5%, and mellowing down the slope 1 and slope 2. So what this does is, as supply leaves the protocol while we're like taking risk off measures, the borrowers on the other end don't have to face or be penalized by extremely high borrow APRs. So for DAI and USDBC, we kind of taking the IR curves a notch down as we look forward to deprecate these markets. Yeah, there's more info on why we're deprecating these markets in the previous monthly recommendations, but just to give a quick rundown, USDBC has been kind of being deprecated in line or in favor for the USDC native token, and the overall supply of DAI on base has been trending downwards. Again, this could be attributed to like the new USDS token or just the overall lesser involvement of MakerDAO on base. But yeah, again, that's up to that's up for questions on why the reasons are. But from our end, we're kind of trying to take good risk off measures here. For the wheat reserve factor, we've seen a huge growth in both supply and borrow activity. And this is kind of being driven by some of the leverage yield strategies users are employing on Moonwell. So to further incentivize wheat supply, we recommend reducing the reserve factor from 15 to 5%. So this would kind of result in approximate increase of 23 basis points along with the IR changes that I'll go down in a bit. But yeah, to talk more about the wheat IR recommendations, the interest rate recommendations, as Moonwell adds like more LRTs and LSTs on the protocol, we are seeing a growing use of just like wheat borrows. So we recommend increasing the kink for wheat from 80 to 90%. So what this does is it would enhance this capital efficiency and approximately free up to like 3,300 wheat in additional liquidity without really causing the interest rate to move a lot. So this would basically have more users borrow wheat without like paying a lot in interest rate. But since we have suppliers on the other end supplying wheat, we definitely also increase the supply APRs at Kink by 15 basis points to reward them for taking this extra risk. This is to just keep both sides of demand like balanced in equilibrium and kind of in a happy position. Moving down to optimism, we recommended an increase in collateral factors, wheat and LSTs to that recommended on base. So what this means is wheat currently has like a collateral factor of 81%. We've kind of recommended an increase to 83. For the LSTs, the current collateral factor is 78%. We've recommended an increase to 81. And in the previous monthly recommendations, we kind of explained why we're doing this. And this is because most of these positions, the distribution of these positions, LST, supply, wheat, borrow, are like correlated positions, essentially. And that kind of changes the risk profile of the asset. And since these positions are extremely correlated, we can go ahead and increase the collateral factor by a couple of notches. And yeah, this definitely increases capital efficiency and users can gain a little bit more leverage. So without like drastically increasing the risk profile. So we recommended an increase across those. Apart from that, on Wrap Bitcoin, we've taken a completely risk-off stance here. We're on the path to deprecating this asset completely, hence recommended a reserve factor increase from 40% to 60%, a collateral factor decrease from 67 to 60, and overall decrease in both supply and borrow caps. Apart from that, we also proposed an adjustment to the IR parameters for wheat, and it's the same recommended parameters as they are on base, which is an increase in kink and increase of like supply and borrow APRs at that level. So essentially the same recommendations, aligning it to what we have on base. Apart from that, on Moonbeam, we've seen some great uptick in liquidity for the stable coins on Stellar Swap, and this is primarily caused by some of the incentives that Moonbeam is giving out in these ecosystems. We're kind of monitoring how sticky this liquidity is. But for now, we've recommended an increase in borrow caps for USDC and USDT. Apart from that, we've recommended like a decrease in collateral factor across all the wormhole assets. And this has been the general trend for the past few monthly recommendations that we've been taking increasingly more risk-off stances here. So yeah, you should expect to see more of that in the future recommendations as well. The Moon River side, there's not a lot that we've evaluated the market, and we see that we don't require any new recommendations for the Moon River ecosystem. As of now, it's pretty the risk and efficiency are well balanced. So yeah, so not much on that. Yeah, happy to answer any more questions on some of these recommendations.
Thank you, Sai. We'll go back to our original schedule. CSG, I think you originally were going to talk about Luke's forum discussion. So if Eli covered most of what you wanted to talk about, we can shelve that for now, and you can jump in with anything all along the call if something comes up, if you want to talk about it. But from there, we'll go ahead and go to Darren, if you want to discuss your forum proposal from this month.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my forum post was basically, I just wanted to bring to discussion possibly formalizing the proposal process a little bit more. So in other DAOs like Arbitrum, for example, we have a schedule for when proposals go up and when they can like be pushed to snapshot and when they can push to an on-chain vote. So in Arbitrum's case, or a vote can be pushed every Thursday. So votes are uploaded to snapshot on Thursdays. They have a week-long period to be voted on, and then the following Thursday the decision is decided. And their on-chain proposals are uploaded on Mondays, but actually executed on Thursdays, so that there's a little bit of a time period beforehand. The point is, I thought it would be helpful for the Moonwell community to have a more structured proposal schedule. I think as the delegate base grows, it would be useful to formalize the proposal process a little bit more and to have a schedule so that delegates can easily keep track of like when the next vote is coming, and just have like a set, I suppose, guide for expectations. But yeah, that's really the whole point of it. If anyone has any suggestions, feel free. If you have any suggested like days or like periods for proposals to be up, the current structure is that proposals are up for 3 days. If anyone has any suggestions on that point, all ears. But yeah, that's more or less it. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, go ahead and check out that forum post. Leave your thoughts on that proposal. And from there, let's go over to Puffer. If Amir, if you want to take it away.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us over for this governance call. Amir, I'm the CEO at Puffer Labs, and I'm proposing the addition of Puff ETH as one of the, like, essentially Moonwell on base as basically Puff ETH market in general. And I'm happy to actually explain what are the unique attributes of Puff ETH are and unpack some of those. So to jump right into it, Puffer is one of the most research-driven and innovative verticalized infrastructure providers on Ethereum today. We have launched the first permissionless liquid restaking platform. That means that even our Ethereum validators that are natively restaked to EigenLayer are permissionless. Anyone with a 2 ETH bond can run an Ethereum node. This is actually backed by many researches that we have done. We have solved a lot of the existing problems in other like permissionless protocols or challenges, including Rocket Pool, including things around MEV stealing or like lazy node operators that might affect the APR of the overall like LRT or liquid restaking token or liquid staking token. We introduced VTs and we even introduced anti-slashers for the first time to the industry. The anti-slashers are actually backed by an Ethereum Foundation grant. Through these innovative approaches, Puff ETH is actually one of the more stable and backed by the security of the permissionlessness of the protocol itself. We have introduced also 2 types of withdrawals, as we know majority of the use cases of these LRTs or liquid restaking tokens are actually in lending protocols today. There are challenges associated with withdrawal times. LSTs today are much more basically flexible. You can withdraw your assets with much shorter waiting time, but on LRTs, you are actually taking much longer to withdraw your assets. There is a 7-day withdrawal time from EigenLayer itself, plus the withdrawal time of the validator itself, plus the custom withdrawal time of each of the AVSs. These can just like ramp up to a month, or even like they can go tens of days. Even in protocols that have buffer pools, the buffer pool might run out, and this might actually be a little bit of a challenge. Also, in the cases of doing a withdrawal from the protocol in a two-step way, something like a Lido, there might be a delay. The protocol might delay in actually fulfilling that two-step withdrawal of burning the NFT and others. So not only we have that two-step withdrawals, quite similar to what Lido has, we introduced a new withdrawal type that a user can immediately withdraw their funds through the buffer pool by actually burning a 1% fee. So that burned fee actually increases the yield of the overall puff ETH for the rest of the puff ETH holders. That's where the fee goes. But also it enables one block time, essentially withdrawal for the user. Let's say if they're in a very bad condition, they're getting liquidated and they immediately need some assets to actually fill up that liquidated position. That's where we introduced like another factor here to get like a faster withdrawal option for the users that are like getting an urgent need. So that's essentially like all that is based on Puff ETH. I can go on of like what are some of the other innovative technologies that are involved in Puff ETH. Most recently, we have announced the launch of our pre-confirmation network. This is one of the most cutting edge technologies that are going to bring like sub-second transactions to Ethereum network. And with the block building techniques that we are collaborating with Titan builders, we have been able to actually hit 10K TPS through the use of execution pre-comps. I'm not going to dive too deep into the tech stacks that we're building based on our validators, including pre-comps and based rollups we have launched recently on the testnet. But these are some general attributes of Puff ETH itself. I'm happy to answer any questions if there is any in the audience.
Awesome, thank you, Amir. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand or drop them in the chat. It's always great to see new market proposals and integrations from strong teams like that. So it's actually continuing a trend that we've seen over the past few months as well. Yep. Thank you again, and then we'll go over to FranklinDAO, one of the applicants to the Delegate Rush that Majin was talking about. Whenever you're ready, you can go over your Delegate platform.
Hello, hi everyone. This is John from FranklinDAO. I'm very happy to be here and hope to be more involved in Moonwell governance. So FranklinDAO is a student-run organization from University of Pennsylvania, and we have been active delegates in a bunch of different DAOs like Uniswap, Compound, Arbitrum, Aave, and we've been a part of multiple working groups such as the Uniswap Treasury Working Group and currently the Arbitrum Staking Group. And so I think we bring a good amount of experience, and members of our team have worked at Chainlink and Masari and Galaxy, among others. And we're particularly excited about Moonwell because we believe in the growth of the base ecosystem, especially under this new Trump regime. And we think that we definitely like to help Moonwell grow as the leading lending platform on Base and compete with Aave and Morpho. And yeah, we think we can contribute in many ways, and we would appreciate your delegation. Yeah, we commit to being very transparent with our votes. We commit to not having like third-party bias.
Yep, thank you, John. Yeah, again, check out the Delegate Rush forum post that has a comment on it that has the links to all of the applicants, so you can find their delegate page and consider delegating to them. And all right, that covers most of the content today that I wanted to go over. If anyone has anything that they wanted to jump in with, you're more than welcome to raise your hand and get your final thoughts in. And yeah, thanks to all of our speakers, and we will reconvene on the first Thursday of December. All right, thanks everybody.